Good morning and welcome to the Tuesday, July 9th, 2024 Eidelweiss Board of Commissioners meeting. And we'll open the meeting at 9 a.m., starting with the approval of the agenda. When we get to correspondence, I'd like to talk about correspondence we got close to a month ago indirectly concerning Eidelweiss Beach and correspondence like that. And I guess under Commissioner's report, I'll talk about engineering Como and Nick Skagel, among other things, because they'll be asking for a vote on that. And we will have a non-public session to go into a discussion of that might involve reputation and possibly negotiation. With that, I'll make a motion that we approve the agenda.
Second.
Nancy seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
3-0. Second is the approval of the minutes at 9:01, and that's the minutes of July 2nd, 2024, last Tuesday. I'll make a motion for discussion that we approve those minutes.
Second.
Seconded by Nancy. Discussion?
I was okay.
Everything looked good to me.
Yeah,
Either.
they look good to me.
Okay, great.
Nice job.
That was short and sweet.
All in favor?
Aye.
3-0. Approval of manifests. I'm hearing a chirp of
What's that? Is this that?
It's the smoke detector,
I think
maybe?
they're all chirping because I heard it out in the hallway too.
Yeah,
If the battery gets low, they start chirping,
that's me.
even if they're
Too.
electrically
Yeah,
connected,
hardwired,
because that's
yeah.
a battery
Yeah, yeah.
They
backup.
want you to change the battery in
Yeah.
case there's no power.
It's basically the squirrel telling you, change my battery.
Makes dogs go nuts.
Mm-hmm. So, we're talking about manifests? maybe?
Yes.
Yep,
We're into
operating and
manifest.
payroll.
Let me bring that up. So to start this discussion, I'll make a motion that we approve an operation as payroll manifest for $68,497.98. We should probably mention why it's that large at least, with a payment to the Rhineac Tank and Pressure Zone project, which is a little over $62,000 in one check.
62,195, principal and interest.
Yep.
Was that the final payment?
No.
It's 15 years.
Yeah, okay,
So we're
wishful
paying back.
thinking.
So just so you know, what we're paying back is a voted, at the 2019 annual meeting, the village voted to go into a bond, sell a bond, to raise $893,000 for the Rhineac Tank and Pressure Zone project. What was actually spent was $1.2 million.
Yeah.
They spent capital reserves and other funds to get it up to that high. So what we're paying is the $893,000 bond, and that's 15 payments that are gonna be a sizable amount of this, like $62,000 this year. It changes because it's against an amortization table, and we have questions as to why the interest payment is divided in two. There'll be a second payment later in the year of
It
interest
is.
that we
Yeah.
would like a good answer on.
Yeah.
So that's what we're doing, is everybody should know that that vote is costing us $62,000 a year for 14 years now, 14 years left.
It goes down. The last payment's 44,000, so it goes down as the years go up, but it's still a lot of money.
That's
It is a lot
14
of
years
money.
from now.
Yeah.
Wow,
Wow.
crazy.
We paid a couple of years now.
Yeah,
Anyway.
we've been
Okay,
paying-
yeah,
We've been
right.
paying since 2019,
Yeah.
actually, yeah. We had a bigger payment that year.
Yeah.
Anything else in this manifest? Did I have something else?
Yeah, I've got a question. On the spreadsheet, like I always look at all the receipts and then I add up the spreadsheet and I saw an anomaly. So when you take a look at the total, $68,497.98, we're good. We're good,
Okay.
no problem.
Oh.
But when you take all the vendor and supplier items, not payroll,
Okay.
added up,
Yes,
it comes up to $62,463.03. Now you notice that's a difference from the $62,394.98 that's printed at the bottom. That's a delta of plus $68.05. It goes the opposite way
this is making
on
any sense
payroll.
to me.
On payroll, it adds up to $634.95. We have 6103. It's a delta of negative 68.05. So added together, it's the correct amount. But I'm just wondering why these numbers, the total dollar amount of checks.
I don't know. I'd have to sit and look at it and
Okay.
review with you. It's
Okay.
nothing that I'm gonna be able to figure out for you. right
No,
now.
that's fine. That's fine. I'm not asking for an answer right now if you don't know it. But it's odd because you go to the water manifest, everything adds up, and in the past they've always added up. So it's some sort of glitch somewhere.
I don't think there's a glitch. I think that it's probably not understanding that it's not actual checks and debits, but we can review all this.
That may be because there's.
Yeah.
It's funny you say that.
Oh wait a minute, hold on. You're right. If you go to paychecks, which is a EFT, that's 40.02, and if you go to the debit, it's 28.03. Add
Right.
those two together, it's
It works.
68.05. Okay,
Yep.
that explains it. All right.
It's funny you say that because when I was looking at this last night, the type way over on the left was on the spreadsheet. When I opened it, was collapsed, so you couldn't see it. When I opened it up, I noticed that there's 3 of them are checks.
4 of them are checks.
4 of them are checks. One is a debit card,
Yep.
and the other one is an EFT
EFT.
transfer, which is the payroll fee.
Yes.
So
Okay, that
so
explains
I
it.
have to look at that.
Right. Okay. So basically, this edition is checks only. Okay.
Which is the way it's labeled, right?
All right. I think then that mystery is solved.
Nothing's easy.
Oh, good.
Well, remember, I was doing this like 8 or 9 last night when I'm just like, so. Okay, that's all I have.
That doesn't have to be in the minutes he was doing it.
Nope, I didn't write anything down either.
No, the whole, okay.
Did you get a second for this yet?
No,
I'll make a sec, I'll do the second.
thank you.
For discussion?
Yes.
Any
Even though
further-
we've already had the
I
discussion.
know.
Yeah.
We'll see if there's any more discussion. So the motion on the floor is to approve payroll, operations and payroll manifest of $68,497.98. How do you vote?
Aye.
Aye.
3-0 on that. Now we
Thank you.
move to the water manifest. And I have a question on this one.
Yeah, I think,
It's not one that you can answer, but it's
Yeah.
our discussion.
yeah, I
You have
have a discussion too.
So the water manifest, I'll make a motion for discussion that we approve a water manifest for $4,677.88.
Second.
Discussion.
What's the North Conway Water Precinct?
That's what I want to discuss.
Nancy's
yours
good
too?
at this. No, she already answered it for me before.
It's a place where the water operator will get parts. North Conway precinct does a lot of bulk that they have available. So if we can, we will get parts for the water system from them versus other vendors, and then we get it at the same cost that they pay.
But that's
So-
not, that answers his question, I think, but his question's gonna be further than that, and we should probably wait
Okay.
a second for
Could-
Ian to
since
actually
Ian's here, you can
enter the
say-
room.
Because all it says on the bill is inventory
That's
items.
the question.
Inventory what? That could be anything.
Yeah, agreed.
I mean, in the big scheme of things, it's chump change, but still, we need to know what.
So, let's get back to that when
Yep.
Ian enters the
Okay.
room. Is there any further discussion
No.
on anything with the water? And we don't need to hold up the payment of this over this, but we want the answer to this if you can give it to us when
Yes.
it comes in, so. How do you vote on approving the water manifest of $4,677.85?
88 cents.
8 cents.
I have something as well.
You want, go
Yeah.
ahead.
Okay, so Dinah had called, on this, saying that the payment actually to Dawson should
Yes.
come out of the water project,
The Rhineac Tank Project, yes,
from the Rhineac Tank project.
yes.
Okay, so she said that there's a separate account, separate account, we get a separate bank statement for it. I wanna let you know that this water project, whatever it's labeled, that we reconcile against, is something within the operating account. It's called like water, like, I'll have to show it to you, it's odd. I don't know why it's set up that way, I don't know, we don't have physical checks, we write checks
Right.
from. I guess we just need to be sure that we're
Transferring?
transferring from whatever,
We can
You know,
put it
back
into
to
the
replenish.
assessment account and then write the check from the
So
assessment.
we can-
that's, okay,
So we can
okay.
approve this manifest and actually pay this out of the water assessment account and then transfer to rectify it afterwards, that the money gets transferred out of.
I would like you to approve a letter to the Bank of New Hampshire stating we want to close that account and get a check.
After we
Oh.
do this transaction.
Yep.
So we'll do that next week possibly.
Okay,
Okay,
So are you following this?
yes.
So there's still money in Bank of New Hampshire for this particular special account that covered the Rhinedoc?
I don't know if it covers the
yes,
bill.
I have a statement right here I got this morning. It's labeled water project,
And that's what it is.
yeah.
That's why she's
And
been
there is,
calling it
there
that.
is
That
a
answers
pretty
that
good
question.
balance, like you said. I guess I was confused at the time when I talked to you, and I was like, I don't think there's enough money in there, but there is. So,
Okay.
yeah,
So what's the balance in that after the payment of the 4,500, or what was it before? I don't care.
What is it
well,
now?
Either or.
was the current balance as of today, well, as of the end of June, $38,153.10
Okay,
is the balance on that.
so if we transfer that to North Bank,
To the water assessment effect.
to the water assessment, okay.
Gotcha.
All right.
Okay.
Further
Now, how
discussion?
much is the check to Dawson?
$4,500.
So that there isn't enough to cover that.
No, there is.
She said there was 38,000
There's
balance.
38,000 in this water project statement. Yeah. Are you surprised?
Yes.
Yeah, because I was too.
So
I
there'll be
didn't
about
think there
30,
was enough
there'll be
money
what,
in
there'll
there.
be about 33,000 once this check clears.
There's no activity that ever happens on this.
That's
This
why we
is-
don't have check
right.
writing. It
Well,
was really
yeah.
just a place to put our money from the government.
Gotcha.
Keeping it separate from our
Yep.
operating account.
Okay, all right.
So
The
the fu-
reimbursement from the state grant.
I
Can that be
see.
applied to future principal and interest payments on the Rhinedoc?
I didn't know there was gonna be that much left over.
Yeah,
Water projects.
Okay, yeah.
There we go.
write a check to me, I don't mind.
Bonus.
Let's
I
get some more
think we
projects
could all
done,
later
man.
sit down and get,
Yes.
Yes.
make
Very
sure we're
good.
up to
Thank you.
speed on all the
This is about
different,
approving this,
yes.
this manifest.
Okay,
Okay.
great.
Yep,
So do we vote on approving it?
No, not yet.
How do you vote on this? We're gonna go back. Let's ask Ian now. So
Oh, hi.
we
Hi,
get,
how you doing?
when
didn't
you
see you
get
come in.
parts, good morning.
Good morning. How is everybody?
When you get parts from the North Conway Water Precinct,
Yes.
it's a nice arrangement because they have them on hand and it doesn't take a while to get them in when you need them. But the way they invoice us is, for example, we got an invoice dated June 28th, 2024. And it says that return this portion with payment. It says two inventory items.
That's all it says?
That's all it
Yeah.
says.
Okay.
$177.78.
88 cents. And we're wondering, what are they? What are those inventory
Good
items?
Well,
question.
I have noticed over the time especially.
Is that how it always comes to you guys?
No, I've seen them come before, and it was with a board that did not want to discuss any of this. And it would have a coded itemization of what was being purchased, such as S1s, which means absolutely nothing. And this one takes it to a new level that doesn't even have a coded system, it just says inventory items.
Okay, but
So-
I got something physical in the mail, not just email. I got something physical in the mail today, this morning when I got mail.
Wow.
And it's basically has a copy of the invoice that just says inventory items. But they've also attached what looks like kind of like a bill of sale type thing.
Okay.
And it lists Eidelweiss, the date on it is actually 6/5.
Okay, that makes sense. Like 628,
Yeah.
I've got nothing.
Yeah,
Over there.
so that might answer the question.
2 1-inch IP curb valve without drain. It's an item BR-47930. I have never seen these kind of things come. I've always seen invoices like this.
Yeah, it came
So
attached
otherwise,
in a,
in a copy of what we, yeah,
Well, notice it says
Yeah.
to Simply Water on the list of the items, but the bill itself is to us.
6.5 was the 57 Eidelweiss Drive connection day, so that's where that's going to.
okay.
two
They're a little
you've got
bit.
2 of them though, right?
Well, we'll have to. They sometimes label like their labeling might have been the corp and the curb valve, and they just list them the same or something. Because I'm not 100% sure on that. I'll have to check back on what we actually got from them.
But the detail one that we didn't see until she
just
just
says
showed us
2
is,
1-inch curb
it's
valves.
saying 2 1-inch curb valves, not 2 parts, one of them's a curb valve.
Did you grab those from him that morning?
I did, yeah.
Was it 2 curb valves?
It was. I believe we stuck the other one in the
Okay.
shed, the garage.
Well, I'll have to look. We might have been out of those curb valves, just got a spare, so we had them on hand or something. But I'm not 100% sure, Mark. So I'll have to look at that. But we can, as we get. It's tough with them. I'm never going to be able to get them to use like our work order system.
I'll call them and request something, I don't
Yeah,
mind.
you can. Obviously, we got some connection over to their office there. They just don't have that type of a system usually, so I don't know what we can do is just do a better job of record keeping from our end and just send over what we picked up from them. I mean, ideally, it is extremely convenient, and we use that at our disposal as needed. But we just did a stock inventory of our shed here recently, cleaned it up and did an inventory on it. We
And
should
that's
probably put
where
in
we
another.
inventory, yeah.
Some of it's, we've been waiting on some parts, we just gotta probably check in on them, but I'll get you guys an updated list of things we need so we can try to carry more of our own standard items like the curb valves and corps and stuff. But yeah, we do use them as we need to, it's close and.
So the big thing for me is this is the first time I've seen a detailed, an itemized record of what it was that was purchased from North Conway Board of Precinct. And so now it's the timing is, how is it that we got I'll say the cover sheet that just said 2 items, but in the mail, how did we get this one? Was this mailed to us and then they
Emailed.
mailed it, follow up with?
Correct.
We
Well, I
usually,
must have, I'm assuming.
we expect about 4 to 6 weeks with their billing, it's just, I don't know if they do it end
No,
of month or
they-
something.
So how is it that we got one that didn't tell us what it was, and then we got a second mailing from them that told us what it was?
I don't have the
I'm
exact answer.
asking her if that's what
Okay.
happened
Yeah,
first.
what
We got
happened
2
was
mail-
an email,
2
yeah,
USPS
and then
mails.
the physical mail.
So that's the thing we really needed improvement on, is that if we got the handwritten itemized thing, we'd know what to ask
Correct.
Simply Water
Right.
about, okay. So that's the only thing, is, that's just weird thing.
Just make sure we,
They did a mailing
we
and
get
then
it,
did a second
right.
mailing with.
and I don't
detail.
mind calling, I do call and say, can you?
They must have a reason to say something out that what came out of a computer, and the second one that was a cop.
It's
Xerox.
probably an automatic thing that's set up. Once they set it up in the computer, it's automatically just distributed, and then someone gets around to sticking
So I
it in
know
the
Wood
mail.
is not gonna be happy until we get this system down. So we can move on from here?
Yes, please.
So that's the two manifests.
Yep.
So now
We haven't voted the
No,
third,
you
the
did not, you're
second.
close, but not
The water.
quite there.
I stopped the vote to get that answered, I guess.
Yeah.
Yes.
So how do you vote on the water manifest of
Can-
4,677?
Before you guys do that, I did plan to talk about that pit, so if you guys are talking about like final payment and closeout on that, I just wanted to talk to you guys if that's what
Oh,
that
yeah,
vote is
it's
for.
Dawson's part of this, yeah.
Can we discuss that project before you guys close that out? Is that
Okay.
possible?
Yes,
Um,
just in time.
yeah. Okay, so, you know, as for all intents and purposes, everything's up and running over there.
I did check with homeowners and they're seeing 80 pounds
Yeah.
at their houses.
So everything's increased. I've got, now I'm gonna reference them as issues, but I don't know if they're issues with Dawson or just the fact we don't have, you know, the back end that we should have had. So, you know, the pit, while it is functioning, it's missing things that we would like to see in it, like we don't have pressure gauges on the inlet side of the PRVs, right? So I actually don't know what my pressure coming into the PRVs in that pit are. I know what they're going out, which is what the grand, like, that makes so I can control what I want coming out, but I'd obviously like to know what I have coming in to help me set the pit upstream. And there's no taps or any drains or anything like that, which are kind of
Standards?
standard. Now, that being said, I asked Andy, who's, you know, a great guy that works for him, you know, what they were not operating off a drawing, I guess. So, if we don't have one, then there's not much we can do about it to, essentially from an accountability standpoint, I can't say, hey, you guys were supposed to include this. They have the isolation valving that would be considered standard, it's isolatable. So everything from like a functioning standpoint is fine. And we can add taps. I mean, this is not a huge ordeal for us to go in and drill in like a 2-inch tap and add like a place for a pressure gauge and a drain port, right? I mean, I can handle that stuff.
But that's
I
our
just,
cost.
it would be at your cost.
Yeah.
So
We paid a
that's
lot of
some,
money for this.
right, so that's my question is if we have anything, did we ever come up with I've never seen a drawing for any of these pits. I feel like there's something out there, and maybe we talked about it last meeting, but if there's any plan drawing that we have, we'd like to at least compare that to what's in the ground so that we can kind of check it off, right? So yes, the items that are supposed to be in there. Yes, it's a functioning pit, it's online, all that end of it is good. I'd like to see if we are actually completed to the way it was designed to be completed, or if it's just completed. The problem we have is if there's not a drawing, I'm not gonna be able to say you didn't do this to drawing. So it's gonna be what it is, and it is functional. So I'd like to see if we can't come up with anything like that. I think maybe schedule, Nick was the one that drew the PRV pits, so it might be worth reaching out to him. They have a little bit of other cleanup work. They knocked all the curb valve boxes down, right? We went around, we checked that. We should have gone, we just swung in and took a look that week. I didn't even think to go up and check the pit cover, but it wasn't bolted in. It wasn't sealed. They reset it and sealed it, so that end's good, but it still needs to be bolted down to the concrete so it doesn't get shifted off. So before you guys fully close, and we don't have a line drawing, and that's another thing that we don't have as-bills for any of it. And I would like that before you guys, 4,500 might not be enough to, you know, sway that to happen quickly, but it is just another project that I would really like to see us, you know, get in the habit of making sure we get the drawings before the project is fully stamped and done and closed and we all move on. So even the work that they did the other day was confusing as hell what they ended up running into. It would be nice to see what they ended up having to put in the ground. It'd just be nice to have documentation of that. So it's clear enough, but 10 years from now it won't be, you know what I mean? So, and we can do our own drawing with ties and stuff. We're gonna do that, put it in our notebook, but it doesn't replace an actual as-built of the project. And I still would like to see one for the Rhineac project as a whole, you know? And each of these pits should have a line drawing built for them. So anyway, before you guys fully close that out, I just wanted to say while they did a good job and, you know, they did great the other day on it, it's not a done deal. I mean, if that's part of the gig is we're supposed to receive as-bills, then I'd like to follow up with that. And again, that might be on the engineer, not on the contractor, I'm not sure, but.
The DeBarton King had a drawing. The contract was written by Dawson. The attorney for the village at the time agreed with me that was crazy. That the Dawson contract did not directly address the engineering drawing number that DeBarton King had for that project. So there is a drawing.
Okay.
we'll have to dig that out and see if it had the detail that you're talking about on it. We're also gonna talk to Nick, and we're gonna have a discussion about the Como PRV pits and the standard, and that'll be a vote that we're taking, so it's good that you guys are here to hear that, in case you wanna add any detail to that.
Yep.
So, it's a matter of whether we approve this in a manifest and hold that check until we get the answers that Ian is talking about.
And I discussed this with Andy on site, he knew we were gonna be having this conversation, so this isn't something they shouldn't expect on the closeout.
Yeah, they had to have been working from something.
Well, not necessarily, I mean, we build mechanical all the time without any drawings, it's just on a project of this scope, where it was a bid project, they're almost, in that capacity, typically on a bid project, there's always a drawing, that way.
We will never do a project like that was done. We
No.
started with the contract. and
No,
There's
And-
many things to be said about the last board,
and if
and that will take a year to say it.
they approve the contract with Dawson without referencing the drawing,
That's what they did.
how can we hold
Okay.
Dawson accountable?
Well, that's the question, and if there isn't something, if there's not a drawing, then we really don't have a leg to stand on. Or if there's not a drawing that was approved and accepted as a
Right,
plan drawing,
right.
then we really can't
Right.
hold there, we can't say
So do
this
we-
needs to be a certain way.
Do we
'cause-
wanna hold it until we get some more
The
look at?
contract referred to the plan,
Okay,
and I have never seen a contract
So
that
let's
didn't
ask 'em for the
refer to
plan.
that engineering drawing number, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
Right.
right.
That was that's because you let a contractor write the contract for you in this case.
right,
And that's not what we have ever done before, and we won't do that again.
right.
Right, but
They did that.
we can still ask them for what
Yeah, what
that
is the
plan
plan?
is. What drawings, what drawings,
Yes.
plans, what do you
Yes.
have internally that you worked off in order to do this project and complete it? And please hand that over to us.
And they did it, there's a direct read meter in there, there's not an access, there's not a ladder built in, I don't know if that was something that was meant to be included, like a built-in access hatch ladder. That's typical of a pit like that.
There were
Should
things
have
that
a-
were in the contract that didn't happen, such as the aluminum bulkhead. That steel bulkhead that you're talking about isn't even seated, right? That's not even the one that's in the contract.
Sure, I would
But
tell
they-
you it's a significantly better, in that application, it's a significantly better, it's like an upgrade to that. But yeah, I
But
understand.
it also says that that should be higher and there should be 10 inches of fill over the top of the entire vault.
Sure,
So even what was in the contract, I don't know if they're gonna claim there were verbal adjustments to it,
Right.
right, and we have no way of going back on that. So what the engineer that was of note on the project is gone, has been gone for
A long
years.
time.
That's predating, two engineering groups ago, I believe. So it was originally, I'm gonna think of the name,
Beach and Jones?
Beach and Jones.
Beach and Jones did not do the drawing for that. That was done after Beach and Jones was gone. That was
Okay.
done by Nick at DuBois and King, because Beach
As
was
part of the,
Yes,
huh,
that's where I get back to saying that contract called for 3 PRVs, not as add-ons if there was money left over. It was in the bottom price of what the base contract was, that there were 3 PRVs. That's how the 2 PRVs, the one at Jungfrau and the one at the top of Bristostock, got paid for.
gotcha.
How it is that the last board signed a separate contract when it was in the contract for the $83,000 bond to get the third PRV done, and didn't say where any of these 3 were going. The third one ended up being at the top of Riggy, and it was done as a separate contract written by Dawson against a drawing that was done by Nick Skagel that says DeBarton King on it. And the contract, the language in the contract that was written by the contractor did not call out the drawing number specifically as making it part of the contract.
See, I can't, I remember something of what is it possible, and I don't know how much digging you guys would have to do, I feel like they ended up knocking off the original contract down to 2 PRV pits, and then the third one was done as an add-on separately. And that's why when the state's already awarded funding for a project, they will typically work with the contractor, and that's why you probably have a contractor written. So whoever got that $1.2 million bid, whether it was Dawson or Drew or Coleman or whoever got it, right, they would have been, as additional projects got added on that were of what would be considered inconsequential size on a project like that, they would just use the on-site contractor to allow, hey, we have to add this into the project when you guys are there working, can you add this into your project? So that's probably how you ended up with that language written by a contract. And I just remember there was a ton of conversation about the PRVs, I just don't remember where they went.
Here's how badly they did this is that the board previous to them, Lizer and Cozell and I think Buckley joined them midstream, signed a contract and then had 0 engineering change orders. Because I did a 91A request for engineering change orders, and that was the reply I got is there had been no engineering change orders. And there were changes happening all over the place, such as there was a $50,000 budget in the base contract to blast Aspen, to put the water mains down lower. And that didn't happen. There was an agreement, verbal agreement with the board to lay the new pipe in the same trench as the old pipe, which was too shallow, which is why there was a $50,000 budget to blast Aspen. And the only thing that I saw was pink styrofoam at the site. So what does that tell me? Because I'm not a water professional, but you're shaking your head like you came to the same conclusion.
I literally never saw that section of the main, so I couldn't speak on it at all. But I don't know how it couldn't have been laid in the same, because that was active. They didn't have a temporary main fed, so that would have had to be active main as they were building it in. I know that they didn't blast, but they did hammer ledge. So I don't know if they hammered over there. We just
They didn't hammer Aspen.
They didn't hammer Aspen. We removed the bleeder, so I hope we.
Yeah.
I hope it's deeper.
Well, I wonder what was gonna happen after the first year. It's been a couple of years.
Yes, but if they insulated it, I mean, at a minimum, that usually holds up until significant ground shifting. So, boy, I don't know. I don't have an answer to that. I know that I tried to challenge the contract depth, but it was in fact in the contract at a lower depth than our standards are with the approval of insulation, which, once you get into state funding, the state approves the contract. We don't have much. That was just once up at Rhineac when I was on site and I saw buried depth. I think, well, we've seen the issues with that gate valve at Rhineac. It's too shallow, but that's at depth with insulation, so by contract. So,
Which gate valve we're talking about?
the one right out the front, it's been hit. It got hit a year or two ago. Just right out the front door, the new Rhineac station. So when we went up there, we measured it, but it was at that's when I looked and I said, "Oh, this is too shallow," and it's but it was actually at contract
The
depth.
4-inch
plus
mains
insulation.
that are come in, the new 4-inch mains that come into that right outside where you're talking about, that feed that gate valve,
Yeah.
where that gate valve controls, those are down 3 feet. I was showing that to Dinah when we were walking the dogs up there in the middle of the project on a weekend. There was a spade, and put the spade in the bottom of the pit, and the handle of the spade was level with the top. And I think that spade's 3 feet. So,
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunately, like I said, there was just very minimal oversight on that project. So I can't speak to
how
all
far
those
away
things.
are we from the subject that we've started into?
I know.
Yes, apologies.
Yeah.
What are we talking about?
Yes.
We haven't had this conversation.
Right.
Right.
I can't even remember what we were talking about.
We were talking about
4,500
the
and
rigging,
Oh, the rigging,
not
PRV.
having
Okay, so,
everything that we want.
yeah,
on
I guess
board with the
I guess
contract.
the full circle on that is in fact just, as-built drawings from that project, that's where we kind of began that conversation about that, because we have unknown use or purpose or location of most valving that was installed, if not all. I mean, outside of stuff that we've had to get our wrenches on and try to figure out. And we would just like to see if there is in fact a drawing that was referenced. If there's not, again, we're kind of dead in the water on that. We can't hold somebody accountable for something that they don't.
Okay, but we can tell them before we issue final payment, and this is a final payment which is really small compared to all the other payments,
Right.
that we want all documentation that they use to do this project
Yep.
handed over to us.
I think, field notebooks and all that stuff should be available to you. I think, I don't know what's required by contract, but,
Well, never mind the contract. We know the contract
Yep.
has very minimal wording, the plan. What should we be asking for?
as-built, but again, I don't wanna put you guys in a position you're asking for something you're not capable of asking for. I'm not sure.
No, specific documents. We can certainly ask for.
Yeah, I mean,
There's got to be some sort of
Per typical
documentation.
on a
somewhere.
project like this, there's no question there should be as-built supplied by, whether it's engineering, right, which, it is typically through engineering, not contractor. Contractor supplies, site drawings to the engineer creates an as-built for us to have for our records, so. That's what I would be trying to get your hands on. I just don't know if that's on the contractors. Contractor has obviously some, they are the ones with the ground information, with all the, field books and ties and everything like that. The engineer can't do much without those documents, so. But that would be your typical end of project, is contractor turns over any ties and information they have to an engineer builds us an as-built drawing that I believe was part of your project.
Is that the same line drawing you're talking about?
And that includes any mechanical pits or anything would typically have a line drawing with devices in it. So
Okay.
major devices, it's not a, those aren't typically drawn to scale or anything, it's just more of an informational package of this is what's in there, and these are the devices, then listed out, you have a, watts this and whatever the meter type is, so you know what your package is.
Yes, again, I think.
So we're gonna hold the check, we're gonna ask them for this, even though they're not obligated by contract to provide it.
Yes,
And that's a matter of whether we do business with them. And this is standard stuff, as Ian is saying, is that you get this, but they agreed to his contract, which was a mistake, which is tied into chasing grants, which everybody thinks grants are wonderful. I don't think grants are so wonderful. I have lots of examples. We're living under other examples of it right now.
yes.
But that's another tangent. So we need to close out the voting of this manifest.
Yeah.
Right,
So Nancy, do you think that we should hold the Dawson check to ask the question, will you please give us as-built drawings?
yes,
Will you please go and put features into the Riggy pit that our water operator would like to see in there? We're asking for those two things?
yes. I think we should.
What features are we talking, like the pressure valves?
The tap and the gate valve that he mentions?
Gauges and,
Gauges.
Gauge,
yeah, drains, I mean,
There are
Gauges and drains,
isolation
yeah.
valves
I think-
forward and after of that,
Yep,
I believe, yeah.
Yep, they isolated it properly, there's no issue there, and I mean, just to give you guys some idea, if we were to do this, probably talking about a $300 to $400 job for us to add those gauges, drains, saddles in there, so it's not I'm not trying to split hairs over it, but I mean, in the access ladder too, again, I just don't know what is and isn't included, I don't wanna ask for things that are not, if it's not their responsibility, we're not really asking for it, but at the same time, it's kind of standard, you'd have a brand new, most pits have access taps, tap ladders into the concrete for entry and, for access to them, so, those are the things we're kinda,
So I'll addend the motion to approve the manifest and say we're gonna hold the Dawson check and ask questions, ask for features to the pit and as-built drawings. That's the
Yeah.
motion.
second,
So that's modified, so that's our new motion. Any further discussion on this? All in favor?
aye,
Aye, so the manifest gets approved, holding the $4,500 check,
Yeah.
and we need to communicate with Dawson Excavating about getting as-built and features to the Riggy pit.
So just to clarify features, that is an inlet pressure gauge, taps, and what else?
Ladder,
and access ladder.
Access
yep,
can't remember whether that was part of it, because it was, the hatch was well spec'd out by neck. I think, I don't know. I
Yeah.
doubt that he left the ladder out.
Yeah, well, it's not possible. I mean, we've done it before, cut an aluminum ladder, put brackets on the wall, add it, or we could get, you know, the tap style that gets drilled into concrete. And again, these are things we can do. I just, if it's part of the package, I'd just like to get, you know, I'd like it to get
Yep.
Great.
completed. And again, I had this conversation with their on-site foreman, so they should be at least somewhat assuming that conversation.
So this isn't gonna be a surprise when we come back to that.
Assuming that conversation went back to the office, but may not have, so
Okay.
I can't speak to
We're gonna
that.
move,
Yeah,
move it here.
Okay.
okay.
So, Jeff has grown old, waiting for the DPW report to happen, and that's gonna begin at 9:40.
He's just itching to get back to work, so.
Yeah,
Watch this, this will be 2 sentences now with this.
right. Oh, I'm gonna make it short and sweet, I hope.
Yeah, the first one is he's presenting a disposal agreement from that Bob.
This is for Phil that's been taken off the road out of ditches.
Yeah.
That wants to go to Bob Novinsky's
Yes.
on 10 Burn. I'll make a motion that we approve this agreement to permit the village district to enter Bob's property and dispose of road fill that was taken out of ditches and such.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
3-0. So that's okay, let's move to the next topic.
We changed that pipe on door fly yesterday.
How'd it go?
Smooth. Yep.
Good.
Yeah, the old pipe ripped right out.
You're talking about a culvert.
Culvert, I'm sorry, yes,
Yep.
that's right, correct.
That was the terminology we agreed to. going
Right, so we
forward,
put
yes.
that 18-inch culvert in on door fly yesterday.
And it got a header on the input?
Yes,
And in the discussion, the roadside discussion we had, there was a question about whether we could take flat rock that's on Upper Lakeview,
yeah,
and my research says that's our lot.
perfect.
So there's a reservoir of nice head of material.
Beautiful, because that was a nice one
To
there. and
keep you and your friends
I hated
happy.
to use it on that pipe, but that culvert, but we did, and that's nice to know we got a spot for grab a few more, so good to go on that. We're gonna do the hot top thing over on Grissom this afternoon,
Oh, wow.
today.
Very good.
So I'm gonna get back and get going on that.
Is that right where Grissom meets 113?
Yeah,
Right
the
that
apron
area?
there.
Okay.
We're gonna-
It's finally dry enough,
Yeah,
and it's gonna rain.
right, so we should get that laid out, and that's gonna be, the roll over at Coleman's, a nice drive-on, I forget what, a 1-ton roll there, I could get it for 150 for a couple hours, or, you know, for that I'm gonna need.
I think they should do that.
Yes.
Should make a nice job out of that.
Right, it could definitely go a lot smoother with that, so thank you. The blower's done down HP Fairfield, so I think I'm gonna pick that up Thursday.
Good.
Being rain a day type of thing, so get that back in action. The fobs work great.
For the gas pumps or the state.
Well, they're for the diesel. To get gas, I think we need another one.
Oh,
Because we tried using them, we were gonna fill up and get like, you know, some mixed gas for the blower and the power saws, rather than buy them $30 gallons mixed up already, but there's a whole other one for the gas. These ones each one works for each truck, for diesel. They don't work for the gas, because they get the gas there as well. So, I don't know if that's another phone call to the fuel distribution center to try to get one more that works for the gas pump, not the diesel pumps.
Gotcha.
I put those signs up last week that you bought. I don't know if you drove around and saw those. That guy across the street up on Presidential or Oak, he was pretty happy. He said everybody asks him where they're going, so now they don't have to ask anymore.
I would do the signs a little differently now that I see them up.
Bigger?
We put the white border on it,
Oh.
and that reduced the size of the
Yeah.
text
The
that's on
letters.
it. I
Yeah.
would get the biggest text that I
Oh.
could have.
Yeah,
Okay.
until you're right on top of them, they're hard to see.
They'll work, but the
Right.
next ones will be different.
Okay.
So trial and error,
There you
but
go.
the positioning of them was okay?
Yep,
Yeah.
Okay, good.
except the guy I play golf with that's a veteran for Eversource says it's still not kosher to put things on the poles.
Right.
But they still carry the spikes in their trucks
I know.
for emergencies to get somebody hurt up on the pole,
Oh, wow.
but So we'll fix that later.
Yeah, well, there's no tree over on that
No.
area, so, I mean, on Big Loop, I had plenty of trees to choose from, but the one I chose had 3 screws in it, so I think the last sign was in that tree, so that
The
worked
original
out.
wooden sign was there.
Yeah, yeah. And I don't know where we are, if we're gonna run another ad for the position, run the ad again.
We should have a discussion about that.
I mean, it did generate some responses, I think there were 4. An email one, a phone call, or 2,
I
an
think there was
application that came
3, I
in.
don't know.
Yeah, 3 or 4 responses on that. Yeah, 3 that went through the office
Yeah.
and 1 that I think went through Tony.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
But, you know, again, I don't know where we are with that.
So you'd like to run another ad?
I think we should. I think we should get it out there again. I mean,
Okay, so the ad that we did was done for a Saturday,
Mm-hmm.
which is the
Primo?
largest, I think the most,
So make a motion, we run that same ad again this coming Saturday if we can.
Second.
Discussion.
Why, Saturday, the most read time the
I think
paper's read?
so. It's the one that everybody will go to because it has the most positions a whole week for Conway. Well, that's my opinion, I'm not saying that that's,
Okay,
but
and
that's.
maybe now that we're past the holidays and we're coming into the doldrums of summer, you know, people pay more attention, be more interest, so, okay.
I'll tell you, the thing I learned in the computer industry was from Walt Disney. The quote he had was that he knows that half of his advertising budget is very effective. And he wishes that he only knew which half. That's advertising.
Yeah,
Yeah.
If you
I know.
advertise, you
Yeah.
don't know. So,
okay.
the motion's on the floor, seconded, and any further discussion? Let's see which half. This is the second half. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
3-0. Next.
and besides, unless there's anything else for me, from your end, I am on vacation next week, so I won't be here.
Yeah,
But other than that, that's all I've got.
So Tony will not be here Thursday. Will he be here Friday, do you know?
To this week,
Yes.
I think he could be. I don't, you know, I'm not gonna be here Friday.
So one of the things that is hanging over our heads is this is an important issue, the merry-go-round at the playground.
oh,
We think its bearings are gone.
Right,
You put tape on it.
that
The
got ripped
fence has been
down.
fixed. The only thing with tape on it, I went and put the tape back on it Saturday. Sunday morning, the tape was off of it again. Putting caution tape around a merry-go-round means nothing. It means rip this tape off, Merry Christmas, this is for you.
the
Unwrap
kids
it,
are
use
doing
it.
that.
So, that needs a plan. And my understanding is that there are bolts underneath it that can be reached. The bolts have to be taken off, then we need the backhoe to lift that heavy thing
Oh,
up
wow.
over the fence and bring it somewhere where it will sit until somebody actually puts bearings in. So, I'm willing to get a drop cloth and crawl under it with a flashlight and see what these bolts look like, unless you know what they look like. Was it
I-
Andrew that went under it?
Yeah, I mean, I was under there, we both, he unbolted them back a few years ago there, or when we took that apart. We could attempt to take that off if you want us to. And, well, I don't know, put it in one of the shops or something, I mean, till it goes somewhere. I mean, I haven't mentioned anything about it, I did notice the tape was off it the other day, I didn't know whether Andrew was spearheading that again, or.
No,
what
he
was-
hasn't, he didn't even come to Eidelweiss this weekend, I don't even.
Okay, I mean, he got the bearings last time.
I know, I
don't
could ask him where he got the bearings, but I'm not sure why those bearings went so fast.
Right,
I
right,
think the thing was there for like 25 years and
before
those
anything ever
bearings went.
happened to it.
Right.
So,
That's
Um,
twice in
I
5
don't
years.
know what we do with it once we get it off, but putting tape on it isn't keeping it
No,
safe
I mean,
anyway,
that's
so.
not doing anything.
So yes, I think that you should see if you can get it off.
Okay.
And now a question of where do we store it once you get it off?
Well, like I said, I could put it out behind building 2, or I could put it inside a building. I mean,
But the key is, you said you didn't know if Tony's coming in Thursday, because that's a two-person job.
he's off Thursday.
He's off
I mean, that's
Thursday.
something maybe we could attempt tomorrow morning or something like that. Or this
In the
afternoon.
hurricane, that's, because you'll be under the cover of the.
Yeah, what the heck?
And it's steel, so
What's
we'll
left
take it.
after you remove it? Are there things sticking out
Oh,
of
there's
the
gonna be
ground?
something sticking up out of the ground.
Yeah,
if
that's
I
kind of
remember
dangerous.
Well, it went months while Andrew ordered the part last time.
Right.
Okay, all right.
I mean, that's something if you stake off, they're not gonna maybe mess with because,
It's not a
Nothing to
track,
play
it's
with.
like,
Nothing to play with.
they wanna play
You
with,
know.
they wanna play with the merry-go-round, they
Okay.
don't
Right.
wanna play with the spindle.
so, I don't know.
So, let's see, to be worked on, I'd say bring it back to DPW 1.
Yeah.
Because if you put it behind DPW 2, now people have to go behind there, and that's not what we want. So, to work on it, so.
Right,
DPW 1,
yeah,
Okay.
okay.
that's the merry-go-round.
Yeah, I don't remember picking it up with the backhoe. I think Andrew and I lifted it in the back of the truck or something.
Really?
Yeah, but whatever, we'll figure it out.
All right, so do we need to worry about Friday coverage at this point?
With you out this Friday.
Right.
And, so it's a matter of whether Tony's coming in or not.
Yeah, I think he said he would.
I thought he said he,
Yeah.
when we were talking yesterday.
Yeah,
Um,
he likes to stay busy.
so if you could confirm that, let me know whether Tony's coming in,
Okay,
because I mentioned that I could help him if you
Right.
guys figured out if you want that to happen.
yeah, he's got a few rocks or something he'll pluck out and
Let me know.
fill in holes or something.
Gretchen, between Eidelweiss Drive and,
He's filling some potholes right now.
you had mentioned that.
Yes, Gretchen and
Yeah.
Winnigan, much closer to Eidelweiss.
I think people like potholes in front of their house as traffic control devices.
Well, speed.
Yes.
Yeah,
And you mentioned that you saw what looked like truck tire spinouts.
yeah.
Intentionally causing, so let's just leave it at that is, so we're gonna just take care of those.
Yeah, he's filling those right now.
If it rains hard, we're gonna have, issues all over the place. Now it's a race to get the grader back.
Yeah, and that,
Gravel
I
down,
talked to
fix
him
these
this morning and, he's hoping by next week.
roads. That'd be nice.
Yeah, so.
And you won't be here.
Right, but again, I mean, I make, you know, if he calls me and says it's coming, I'll call Todd to truck it. And Tony can meet him here and,
Yep.
and unload it, you know, I mean, not a problem.
And Tony can grade, you don't need two people to grade, really.
Right, if he wants to go running around out there and mess around, he'll have at
To
it.
apply the gravel, we might have a local trucker do it, maybe.
Right.
Tony can have it tailgated in front of him like
Yeah.
we used to do.
Yeah.
So you guys can, you
We
can
could
talk to him
coordinate
about how
something
you
like
wanna do that.
Yeah.
Anything else with Jeff? Do you have anything else?
No, like I said, I mentioned the blower, I'm gonna get the blower, but yeah, so, yeah, no, I'm all set.
I was gonna ask you if I didn't, do you have any, it sounds like you got a short week this week and vacation next week. So we were semi-planning, but we can certainly push it off to be in this Thursday. Would it be easier to push that off a bit? None of it's emergency work, so.
Well, if I'm not getting the blower, then I'm here.
Okay, we just, you know, for you guys to run us up a bucket of sand or whatever.
Right.
So we can avoid taking the truck down, so.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
like I said, I don't know, I won't know until Thursday morning.
Why don't I give you a shout? I'll just give you a call. and we
Yeah,
can-
give me a call
we can-
Thursday
We
morning.
can sidestep it for sure, so.
Okay.
Where are you working Thursday?
We have a host of curb valves repairs and things of that nature that need to be done. I think we have 4. All we were gonna do is the box repairs on Thursday, so it was, I think, 3 or 4 locations that we were planning to do that. And instead of us having to haul a truck down and then haul back and forth from Coleman half the day with materials, it's obviously more cost effective and more convenient to have these guys available to give us sand and gravel. We did discuss if you guys want to do anything with the budgeting on that. If we bought a truck, I mean, we would probably use, I don't know what the grand total over the course of the year, a couple truckloads worth of sand and gravel off them. But it's pretty minimal. I mean, we usually use a
Right.
something like that where you use a quarter yard of material on or something. So it's just nice to not have to truck it around and then find a place that you can't get a quarter yard ordered, you know. So it's just
Yeah.
it's kind of a difficult task when you're doing multiple locations without, you know, you gotta run back and forth. We don't have anything to load it with. So, and it's a reduced cost on the district if we get charged $500 a day for the truck and the driver. So it's just easier to have these guys do it.
Right.
So we'll check with them on Thursday and see if
Okay.
what your situation is.
Yeah.
Okay, before you took off, I wanted to ask you about that.
No problem.
Anything else?
All right.
That's it? Thank you, Joe.
Thank you. Guys, enjoy the rest of the day. Yes.
How's it going, Jeff?
Thank you. See ya.
So,
Cool out there.
we will hold off scheduled public appearance, which are on at 9:55. We'll begin a discussion with Simply Water while they're here. We could start off with issues you have. I want to talk about and get a vote on the Como PRV design.
What's that?
Do you want to start with issues that you have for discussion, or should we go to the Como PRV?
Why don't you guys start with your stuff and then I'll get into anything we got going on.
Okay, so it was over a month ago that Nick was here. We had discussed many things, and one of them was upgrading the Como PRV. And I've copied through the office. You've seen my communications with him where I said to him that I'd be asking for a vote this morning to do the Eidelweiss standard PRV vault, which is going to have meters in it. It's going to have 4-inch pipes inside and adapting to whatever mains are running to it, input and output, that the meter be readable from the exterior of the vault, and that we get all the features in it that we want. I don't know whether having any kind of isolation valves inside the pit makes it more convenient than rather than try to
You
dig them
typically
up
do
outside.
both.
Right.
So depending situationally, I mean, valves, internal valves are pretty cheap. External valves are more, but you know, you do like if you were doing 4-inch pipe, you do like a 4-inch flange style gate on the outside. That way, if and when pipe gets changed, you're going right off an existing or something. But you would typically have both a external and an internal shut off. If somebody's working in the pit, needs to in a hurry shut it down for whatever reason, they can shut it down. If there's a major work going on, and you can use the, you know, or if it's already flooded or whatever, you have the external shutoffs to be able to isolate it.
So what I'm looking at, the idea here is that for the total solution for the Como flow problem, including the mains that possibly run down from St. Moritz, is step one is that we put this in there and everybody, Nick and everybody starts to get some real meter readings of what that zone is
Yeah.
consuming. So that's kind of like step one in the plan. I don't know whether it takes us a couple of years to actually implement the total solution for the flow problem for that zone. And it looks like the activity for that zone as far as development is still high.
That's
Yes.
one of the premium
And whether
zones.
the village will be voting next March to put a moratorium on that zone as we address the problem of flow. So in parallel with telling Nick, I'll make a motion that we authorize Nick to do a design of what we're calling the standard
PRV.
Eidelweiss PRV setup that will just duplicate
Everywhere.
everywhere
Yeah.
that we need going forward over our lifetimes.
Second. You just made that as a motion,
Yes.
so.
Aye.
No discussion on that?
No.
3-0 is the vote? Yes?
Aye.
So we're gonna authorize Nick to design the standard PRV. And it should have plenty of room inside, you know, couch, TV.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, it's not asking for too much, really. Yeah, I mean, you know my feeling on any upgrade to that. I mean, our pits are in pretty bad shape. I think it's a fantastic idea. I mean, I don't know if we want to incorporate. I would like to talk to Nick about this as he puts it together, because
Yes.
like we should incorporate a pump pit in it, because you know, Como's a good example where you're not going to be able to put in a gravity drain. So we'd want to have the ability to add a pump in a convenient location. That's, you know, you're going to get water. I don't care how well you seal these things up.
A wish list from you guys is
Yeah.
the right
Yeah.
thing.
Yes.
So to have a discussion with him on it. Of course, I'd like to discuss that zone in general. I don't know if you guys are aware that, you know, the feed pipe for that, which was replaced maybe 10 years ago.
Feed pipe to,
So the from Oak Ridge, that's 3-inch actually I don't know if it's HDP or PVC or what, but it's 3-inch pipe on Oak Ridge. So that's the maximum size, unless we go back and, you know, address from,
I know that at the time that Oak Ridge was paved, they hit the pipe.
they
and
replaced all that pipe.
They replaced it, and they also put a tee-off, they put
We have
3
a
inches
good-
out from under the asphalt.
You got
so
it.
Then it goes back to 2-inch, right off the asphalt?
Yep.
Back to the old pipe, okay.
Yep, so we have a 3-inch gate valve cluster, we're gonna be using it today, but there's a new 3-inch gate valve cluster that was installed when they did that piping. But that's your maximum pipe size, you know, without going back all the way to Oak and then down to, I think probably down at the base of Oak and Eidelweiss Drive, you might be back up into 8-inch pipe, I couldn't answer that
So-
definitively, but.
Wouldn't Nick want to adapt it to a 4-inch for the new one that runs down for better flow down to?
I think you're, at that point, you're not, it doesn't, you know, I mean, cost-wise between materials, 4-inch is more standard, it actually might even be cheaper to do
Cheaper.
4-inch material because it's a more standard size. So there's certainly no downside to going 4-inch, I just wanted it known that the feed line, 3-inch.
Straight.
But yeah, there's certainly no downside to going up to, I would
From
plan
here
for
on in,
future.
we'll be doing 4 at the minimum
Yeah.
everywhere.
So yeah, and I'd like to talk to Nick about that zone, because I mean, it's contrary, obviously, like you guys said, it's your number one zone. You've sold, I don't know, 5 lots a year, buildable lots over there a year have been going up or something on average over the last few years. We just still have never encountered what is the expected downfall over on that zone. We just don't see it. We don't see it does, but I think with flow information and better data logging over there, more long-term data logging, we'd have more information. But every data log we've ever done over there has shown that the pressure maintains up over 70. So,
The new pit may tell us things that we wouldldn't be able to
right,
know
we
otherwise.
have a lot of assumptions in a lot of different areas. So getting that flow volume over there is a huge first step in knowing. Or we assume with. It would help him in his modeling, you know. I mean, he always assumes, I think, 500 gallons per home or something. It's a large number. It's like double. You know, like the state assumption's 250, and then he goes up to 500 to be on the safe side. So it's like, when you're figuring there's, I don't know, 100 homes in that zone now or something, it can really skew that data. But if he sees, okay, over the course of the year, we're only doing 5,000 gallons a day down there, then obviously that's pretty different than, you know, you always have to be planning for, someday maybe every house moves up full time, and, you know, you don't want to ever plan against that, because that's a real possibility. So his modeling is like a safe bet for 20 years from now, when every house is a full-time home and it's not only 1/3 occupancy or something. But yeah, I think we'll gain a lot of information just by having current usage data. So I'm all for the metering the pits. I think it's going to give
So
us
it
a
just
lot of
started.
control.
Just
Yeah.
started here with that vote, so.
Good.
So
Yeah.
now him
Awesome.
designing, then we get a schedule, and the construction industry will change just in time where they'll all be looking for work to do.
Yeah, fingers
Here we
crossed.
go.
Well, I've lived through it.
Oh yeah, it comes
Around
and goes,
UBCC,
waves, waves, waves.
It
Yeah.
looks like it's never gonna end.
Me too.
Until it ends, and it ends.
Yeah. And
The
it's,
prices don't necessarily all skyrocket down.
no, but
the economy changes.
they adjust and availability changes.
Yeah.
And
Everybody sells their toys and has to go back to work.
yeah, that was like last time was what, 10 years ago or so, 15 years ago. It happened, you know, so it happens. Okay, so yeah, that's great. I'm glad we're moving forward with that. We got it, like, obviously we started that discussion on, we want to probably start exploring additional locations as you guys get into your pit, you know, placement projects and whatnot. Maybe some of the better pits before we go and we just change it out. We might want to look for a new location to add one.
My
a few
question is,
high-pressure
do
zones.
these things, can these things all, do these need to go on the edges of the road? I'm questioning the one that went in at Youngfowl. I really wish I had seen that.
Yeah,
I
I mean.
wanna dig it up so I could see it.
It's almost identical to the one on Riggy. So if you want a visual on it, you're almost,
Really?
yeah, it's very
That's a
similar.
good clue, thank you.
Yeah.
So
Now I'm not gonna
something
tell you it's the
that
exact same, but it's
Is that
it's
of
that
that
style
size?
pit. Yep. Yep. I want to say that the one on Jungfrau was slightly smaller dimensionally, like tighter together, because I don't think there's a meter in that one, and I believe it was a space constraint that they couldn't get
That's
the
too
pipe.
bad.
Yeah, it is. We'd have to add another pit to add a meter at it. So that is very too bad. That's a bummer. But the layout, concept, square vault, you know, that same hatch door style that you see over on Riggy. It's all the same. It's all the same stuff. So yeah, that's, I think, as you move forward with your pits, just starting to discuss like you know, the leak zones we have. It's really due to high pressure. You know, when you look down
So
at
stop
that.
thinking of where the numbers 2 pick goes. May not happen right away, but start picking where the next ones go.
Okay.
Nick will too.
And okay.
It's his
Yep.
modeling, he'll tell us where he lives.
Yeah, we won't get into the details on it now, but I think, like I said, that, you know,
Because when we do it, we're also adding isolation valves,
exactly, it's
which
huge.
which is a secondary
huge.
benefit.
Yeah,
that
it's
we're
not
gonna
secondary,
have
that's almost primary benefit,
Yeah.
but it's, yeah, it is, it's a huge thing to be able to, you know, have,
I'm
so.
seeing these as isolation control centers that we're building all over the place.
Yeah, I mean, we use the ones we've installed a lot. That's what we typically use for our shutdowns in here. So over the 15 or so clusters we've added over the years, it's a they're
Okay.
very highly used. So,
We're on our way.
Just for my clarification, you keep saying the Riggy pit, is that the same as the one in Upper Lakeview? That
Two
was just
separate
put in, Or are
pits.
they two separate pits?
Okay, so let's get this straight is,
Yeah.
there are no isolation, there are no PIV pits on Upper Lakeview. One of them is on Lakeview
true.
and one of them is on Riggy,
Oh,
Yes.
Okay,
both class 6 roads.
okay. Yeah,
Now,
there is a class
they're
6.
controlling the Upper Lakeview, one of them is, used to control the Upper Lakeview. Now it's fed from the gravity drop out of Oak Ridge to the upper part of Lakeview, actually all of Lakeview. And then it hits the Riggy PIV, which is on Class 6 Riggy, the brand new one. And that is gonna regulate the water going downhill. The original master plan called for the PIV to be at the bottom of the hill. But they were trying to fix the problem of pressure on Upper Lakeview. So, the next PIV might go at the bottom of Riggy, but I doubt it.
I think the next one, that just I think when we look at replacing Upper Lakeview, that pit might go down to, or Lakeview might go down to, you know,
To cover Oak Ridge Road,
well, to be at the base of like,
the output of Lakeview.
yeah, the
The
top,
bottom.
the top of Lakeview Road, or, you know, that's probably where that one could get abandoned up top and just get placed down below, because that's, we're still gonna have, I haven't heard, I don't know if you guys have got any report back on what we're getting for pressure down at the base of, Oak Ridge Road, but I'm sure it hasn't changed a whole lot, so, when I discuss with, Nick, we'll talk about options on what we can do even for the short term on that, so,
Did you get your question answered?
No, I'm trying to figure out, Riggy,
I
is
know.
that sort of, it's sort of a quasi called a class 6 road?
Yeah, there's no
That goes
actual
from
road.
Lakeview to Upper Lakeview. And as you
No,
approach.
no.
No, that's not Riggy?
No.
No.
Okay, but there is sort of a
That
road.
is-
Riggy
called
is a
Lakeview.
huge road. Riggy is gonna develop like gangbusters someday. 'Cause
You
it
think?
has- It faces south and it's gonna have views of the ponds.
Yo.
It's like, I shouldn't be saying this on TV.
yeah, buy all the lots now.
Okay, but the point is where I'm thinking, in my mind, there is, it doesn't even look like a class 6 road, but it looks like it could be. From Lakeview that goes up to Upper Lakeview.
that's-
And along that stretch of
That stretch of
opening,
road still has a
That
PRV
pit was just put in by Dawson.
No, that pit has been existing for decades. That pit has been there forever. They did some work at that pit to adapt to what we now have going on, but the Lakeview PRV used to feed all of Upper Lakeview, Lower Lakeview, and Oak Ridge.
Okay.
So now it only feeds Lakeview Road, so from where you see that pit, down that class 6, what you see the cutout, to Lakeview, and then to about 5 or 6 houses on, maybe 7 or 8 houses on Oak Ridge Road. We bypass that pit to get to the new Riggy pit, which is maybe, I don't know, 1,000 yards down the road, if that. On the right-hand side, you'll see kind of a clearing, and there's a square pit on the side. We now have full pressure from the gravity feed zone of Summit entering the Riggy zone, and now you have 2 separate zones, one going down Riggy and one finishing off Upper Lakeview Road. So you have 2 pits with 3 PRVs between them.
Okay.
But the one that you keep referencing over on Upper Lakeview Road has been there for ever, and it's, I don't know when it was actually installed, but
So what was all the work that, I mean, we
That
saw
Riggy-
trucks there last summer.
they were doing all that work. Well, they dug up Lakeview to try to figure out what was going on over there, and, you know, figure out how to bypass that pit, and there was just a lot of prep work over on that one.
Okay.
Here's Oak Ridge Road,
Yeah,
here's Lakeview,
Yeah.
class 6. Kathy Kozel's house is here.
yep, mm-hmm.
You go down Upper Lakeview, goes downhill. There's another class 6 road here. This is where the new PIV is on Riggy.
Okay.
You should walk this. It goes down and connects down to Schweiss, comes out on East Pagamo.
Is Riggy where Dawson finished up?
They finished on Upper Lakeview.
Okay, so it's up the Lakeview. See, that's, gets,
Why have I
You need to walk this.
I've walked this road so many times.
You need to walk Class 6 Riggy.
Okay, okay.
It's a nice
Okay.
walk.
okay.
You could ski it in the winter.
Yeah.
Next,
Is it me or you? Who's giving the items at this point?
We started off with him with the Como,
Yeah.
so.
So you guys were going over anything, so I'm like, we discussed Como, do you guys have anything else on your list that you wanna go over?
no, I don't. Do you
No.
have things?
I saw Dawson on Hotwell at number 5, I think it is. Right past the new construction, just past the
They might just be doing a lot or
mailboxes.
something, it's not
I-
for us.
Okay, I didn't know if they were doing the curb stop or, no?
Nope.
Okay,
Nope, so that's whatever's going on over there, would be for, private, homeowner or whatnot, so there must be a development lot over there.
yeah,
Okay.
okay.
No, like I said, we're intending to do our own curb valves and
Yeah.
whatnot, so that's the intention. But that's, yeah, they obviously still would work for the
Yeah,
homeowners
yeah,
in
obviously,
whatever
they could be,
capacity.
they could have been working for the homeowner, I
Yep.
just wasn't sure, I saw the cars, the trucks, and I
Yep.
was like, huh, is that the new and I know there's
Okay.
a
No, 'cause I don't
request.
think, have we
for a
had
curb stop
any
there.
work orders come through for new curb connections?
No.
No, so we don't have any currently accepted curbs that I'm aware of. So as those get finished up, then we'll deal with those. Do you guys have many applications in this year?
No, but we have, yeah, no.
Like
that's
with
still
5
an issue
Hutwell,
that we need to-
is that a new lot? Is that being connected to the system?
It's a new connection, it's,
new
it's,
construction.
new construction, new
Along the way,
house.
well along the way.
But do we have water feeding that lot? Do we know? It might have got done last year fall.
Yeah.
I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't maintain
Yeah,
that.
I thought it,
There's so
would've-
many that have been built over there at this point, I
Yes.
literally can't keep, I know we did some pre-Platts or whatever road it is, Como or Platts or whatnot, so we did a lot or two over that way, so that
Mm-hmm.
might be, maybe they're just building their property up now, so, yeah, if you wanna, I don't know if, whenever you get the applications in, let us know, cause we wanna make sure that the septic design is approved and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, no. Seen him.
Okay, if you guys don't have anything else, I've got a couple things we'll go over. I talked to Hartley, they're good to go on that well pump over at Muddy Beach, so they'll be on that either this
Yes.
Friday or next Friday.
That's well number,
2.
okay,
And I do believe that system would be active now, I actually just shut it down because it's been offline for so long. that
Right.
At this point, I'm gonna wait till we coordinate the wells and start from scratch on them. But I do think you actually have an operational system over there again, in auto. As we kind of talked about at the end of last
you mean the
meeting.
communications is working now?
For now, yeah. yeah.
Because it happened to be July 2nd for some reason?
I don't know, I saw it pop up like, I don't know, Dave poured back to me on it sometime, maybe a week after we talked to you guys, and then I just had him shut everything off until we can, get it chlorinated and back online, so. So I will let you know as we get a definitive date from them, but it sounds like it's gonna be, like I said, either this Friday or next Friday. Talked about the PRV pits, I had mentioned an inventory order, so I'll get you over an itemized list for that and get that on order. We just need generic materials, we need saddles, we need, we try to carry at least some of that stuff on our own. North Conway's not always open. We have a pretty good stock of like curb valves and curb valve boxes and stems. That's the number one thing we need. We always need that when people hit it with plows and stuff like that. But just brass materials to get you guys over a list. We're good on pipe. I think the only thing we need is just some brass. So I'll get you guys. We can discuss. At least get you guys numbers on it. We don't have all the. I'm gonna draw a blank on the name of them. Oh my god. The pipe repairs that we need, like that's essentially a solid sleeve.
He's not that young.
My god, how am I? Yeah, it's escaping me, but it's an inline repair that this is gonna bother me. Anyway, I will figure out what the hell I'm talking about. Yeah, it will.
It's halfway up the road, yep.
But it's just when we have to splice into a pipe, obviously it's solid pipe, we need flexibility with the whatever the hell they're called. Call them solid sleeves, same thing, would be like a mechanical joint adapter, but it gives us the ability, like if we have to change out a gate, or if we have a crack in pipe, we have to cut out like a 3-foot section
Yeah.
and use
Like a dresser coupling.
pipe sleeves. What's that?
Dresser.
Coupling. Thank you very much. My God. We need more dresser couplings. They've been kind of dead stock. So
Okay.
I'll get your prices. I'll put those on the list, and we try to carry at least 2 of each so that on a Saturday, if a pipe bursts, we can fix it. So I'll get you some info on that.
Speaking of getting us info,
Yes.
you owe us a couple of things. One,
Okay.
last time we talked to you, you're gonna use number 57 Eidelweiss Drive as an example of what your jobber software could export to show us what data we could capture out of jobs.
Okay.
So you still owe us that.
Perfect.
And we're not forgetting that stuff as old as we are.
No, don't. I want you guys to see, because I think it would behoove us to have, if you guys opted to go to that system, it
We're
would
not
be.
gonna go to the jobber system.
Okay, but to-
We want the data one way or another.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, we'll.
It was a question whether yours, the jobber even exported.
It does. I do know that. So we at least got to that
So
point of
let's
it.
see
but-
what 57 shows us.
Okay, drive export
And the other thing is the access to the facilities.
Yep.
I don't know if you wanna give us the codes
I
written
think
out for each of the-
Nancy has the codes.
I do.
We discussed them a couple weeks ago.
Okay,
But
I
he
can-
wants to know, like, when we.
Right.
when we
yeah,
get
that's
it.
fine.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Well, like I
so-
said, I think it would be a good idea to do a
Joint
generic
walkthrough?
walkthrough.
Walk through the
Yeah.
pump houses, yeah.
You guys can see them and kind of see what some of the battles we have in them are and what we want to update or not and whatnot. So kind of reignite that with a different group of people to be able to, some structural, some mechanical, but it's,
Any idea when you wanna do that? We won't see these guys again for a
we could
month.
maybe plan it for post
Summer?
August, well, that or, next meeting, I could leave another hour or two aside for after the meeting to do a site walk. Maybe you guys would be,
So the
Toast-
next meeting,
toast
next
that
time
up.
you're coming here, it would be in August
Yeah, whatever
6th
the-
meeting?
First week.
the first week of August.
Yeah, so why don't we
The
schedule?
first
for-
Tuesday in August then?
Which is August 6th.
August 6th?
So let's drive that stake in the sand.
Okay.
See how
Tuesday,
that
So
goes.
after the meeting or something like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
To call it like 10 a.m. I'll be
Because they've already
or 10:30. I'll be extra short that day. We can talk while we walk. Okay, so we got that, and I think that'll be great because I think there's just some structural issues with a couple of pump houses. I think you guys got to look at and see what if anything you want to do with them. I mean, they're not technically falling in on themselves, but they get closer every year. So,
Really?
well, a couple of them. And then just mechanically, just some. We've done a lot of upgrades over these systems. Some of them did not get to 100%, and I think for our own purposes to finish them off would be nice for metering and stuff like that, pressure control. So we'll take a look at those things, and again, we can get numbers on those, and you guys can decide if it's something you want to talk about or not. Which does, and we can save this for then, but I know we talked about the soda ash and bicarb. Is there anything, have we had any additional conversations on that? I know we're gonna reach out to Nick. Am I supposed to reach out to Nick? Somebody's gonna reach out to Nick and talk to him
Yeah.
about, you guys are, okay. If you guys wanna, maybe we can couple that, I can talk to him about that too when we talk about the PRV pits. If you wanna add that to his docket for me. See what he thinks on it, and if he, we could kind of build out a cost on it too. Like I said, I know we have a system significantly smaller than you guys, which granted, it's only it's an add-in. It's not the major, we're not using it to technically change the whole of the pH. It's kind of like a buffer. It's more of an alkalinity adjustment in a pipe coating than that was the corrosion control plan, as far as I know, it was to coat pipes and more so for alkalinity. Obviously there's a pH boost to it as well, but it improves the alkalinity, which helps maintain pH balance. Our line in the sand with that stuff is essentially, are we passing lead and coppers? Are we having any mechanical breakdown due to pH issues, anything like that? As long as that stuff's where we want it, then it's obviously not from a practical standpoint. As an operator, I don't really care how we achieve that goal, as long as it's being achieved.
Yeah, one of the things I want to ask Nick is, Paul Fluid always had us target 7.6 on our pH readings.
Which is fantastic.
And we're at the we're tickling the upper end of the range at 8.4 now.
Okay.
And so I think.
We certainly have grounds to turn that down. We don't maintain, I mean, we do spot checks on the pH. We get notified if it's ever out of range, but it's definitely not something that we keep a very tight eye on. I think you have the lab doing that.
That's
so
what I'm
she-
looking at, is the range on the lab has an upper range of 8.5, and
Yeah,
it's the highest I saw it at 8.4 in the last reading.
well, we can certainly, we got plenty of room to turn that down a little bit, so if that's the case, we can put that on docket to put a tighter eye on that
I
over the
wanted
next
to
few
ask
weeks.
Nick to look at all that, to see whether he still holds what Fluid said at 7.6. and-
Yeah, I mean, drinking water wise, upper range is great. Mechanical sense wise, 7 is perfect. So, you know, that's, you kind of fight between those two.
Well, 7's base, but Fluid always said you don't want absolute base.
Well, it won't hold. So
Yeah.
by the time you get out in the extent of the system, it'll be 6.5. So, you know, the 7, that's where I could almost guarantee that's where they're coming up with that. We all shoot for like a 7.5 is our optimum range. And then, you know, if you'd rather tweak, you know, go to the upper range than the lower range, but at the end of the day, your goal should be 7.5 as a system. So, well, like I said, I'll add that to docket as we're here Mondays, Fridays, or whatever days we happen to be here. We'll just do some spot pH readings and just start tweaking that pump back until we get closer to, you know, 7.5 to 8. So, that's not hard at all. So we'll get that done. On that subject, one of the 2 pumps needs repair. So, we'll get that, you know, diaphragm kit and new check valves and all that stuff. It's not holding water anymore, so we'll
What
get
are
that.
the 2 pumps here?
What are
Where?
the
The chemical feed pumps. So we'll get that stuff. I'll get you guys in an order list with costs on that. You have your own count through Northeast Pump. So anyway, that'll just be whatever their cost is on that stuff. We'll get that sent over. If you can approve that, we usually do the chemical injection pit at the same time. So yearly, we usually do 1 pump in the pit. So that's down out in the DPW pit. We have there's a check system out there as well. So we change those out. So, you know, try to get them before they fail. So we'll get you guys that stuff. So that's by curb, you mentioned 57, the meeting. I think that's all I got, other than, like I said, we'll arrange with Jeff, as long as you guys are okay with that arrangement. Like I said, it saves $500 a day to use to use you guys' stuff, plus material. So,
Yeah.
I mean, if we can use your crew, it's probably a time burden of 10, I mean, plus whatever time it takes them to get over to us, but, you know, 10 minutes per site or something for them to just haul sand and gravel. Instead of us having to go and do the weigh station at Coleman and figure it all out and get it separately for each job, because we don't have a means of getting it from job A to job B, you know, so, other than the truck, which ends up, you know, you can't compile it. So, so yeah, Jeff was all on board for it, so as long as you guys are fine with that, we'll discuss that with him as we get into the jobs. I don't think I got anything else. We don't have any other routine maintenance coming up. That's it.
Anything else?
No?
Oh, 19 Oak Ridge. We did inspect that.
Oh, the leak?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we don't have a good means of isolating that and telling through usage if that's a leak. We shut off all of. Now I'm wondering if I'll actually have to shut off the Como zone. I was under the impression I'd have to, but with that gate valve cluster there, we might not have to shut off the Como zone. This actually might be a really non-intrusive shut-off. So we were intending, if you guys are okay with it, to isolate that for a 10 to 15 minute period today. The affected zone should be, I'm going to assume, if it's Como, I'm going to plan it out because it's just longer. It'll take me, I can't do it over 10 minutes. But if I can do just between Oak Station and essentially whatever that road feeding down
St.
to
Moritz.
St. Moritz, between St. Moritz and the Oak Station, there's only a few homes in that area.
So those 3 homes will be off for a few minutes?
Maximum 15, just so we can see that water start to slow down. Just confirm it before we try to dig that. It should be all brand new main up through there, so obviously the assumption is going to be, they didn't replace any service lines as far as I know. I'm not 100% sure on that. It was a GW Brooks project from back in about 10 years ago, so I don't know if we can find anything on that if service lines were included, because the assumption is going to be this is at the saddle tap service line. You know, I can't imagine the pipe is gonna have an issue 10 years old. So if they did the service lines, and it's probably just a saddle slipped or some, you know, manufacturing issue, who knows, like just whatever happened. But that is gonna be the assumption over there, is it's gonna be on the service line, so. Assuming we, you know, see it actually.
Roughly what time of
presented.
day will you be off?
That was the next place I was sending him over to from here. It was gonna be about an hour over there to find the valve, shut it down, just monitor it, turn it back on after about 10 minutes.
So we won't even be back in the office to take
No.
calls?
No,
Wait.
it's okay.
Okay.
We do this a lot of time without you guys.
I know,
Right.
I know you do.
You know, operationally, we kind of have like that, if it's under a half an
It's
hour
never,
window.
ever a problem.
Yeah. We will let you guys know, give you plenty of notice, we have like a major outage for a long period, well, unless it's an emergency, but,
exactly.
as we're testing, trying things, we don't always
Yeah,
have the luxury of,
Yeah.
filling you in on
Yep.
it, so. So that's the intention, I don't expect you to, I don't think we just drove this morning, there's nobody home in any of those houses today
Yeah,
anyhow,
and
so.
people go to
I don't
work
expect it
and
to be an
whatever.
issue, but,
Yeah.
if I can't isolate it from where I think I can, I'll let you guys know, cause
Okay.
then I'd be affecting Como zone, and that's a whole different ball wax for a number of reasons.
yep,
All right,
All right,
excellent, thank you guys.
All right,
thank you.
I will tell Lisa, if you wanna, by all means, reach out to her, but I will talk to her when I get back to the office about getting you over that, you know, export from 57, so. Never hesitate to call her, she's a better steel trap than I am, so. All right, guys, thank you very much.
thank you.
Appreciate it.
have a good one.
Have a good day.
So at 10:26, we'll see that there's no scheduled appearances. Is there anything for the administrator to report?
No,
Old business, water testing at the beaches. So this weekend I used Facebook to communicate with the people that are doing the
Oh, you did?
volunteer water, and I
okay,
grabbed an excerpt out of that.
yep,
So Jennifer said she's getting a lot of calls or questions about testing of the beaches. And the answer that I got is that the beaches are tested once a month as part of the VLAP volunteer
Yes.
program.
yep,
And there's only 3 months during the summer that they do the testing, which is June, July, and August. So the June test has been done, we haven't seen the results. My guess is that the state invoices us
They do,
for the lab tests,
they do,
and I don't know how much that is.
I don't know.
So we'll be on the lookout for the invoice that comes in from the state on the testing, the VLAP testing. VLAP stands for Voluntary Lake Assessment Program,
Yes.
which the village has been a volunteer member of for over 30 years. We have 30 years of data on the ponds. And that's all in the archive, I believe.
And what specifically do we test for?
E. coli.
yeah,
And we tested beaches for E. coli, they said that specifically. And the lake program tests for water turbidity. They drop, it begins with scally devices that you drop it in the water and you see how far down it goes before you can't see it anymore. You
Okay.
test the quality of the water that way.
Those are the only two tests?
No, there's, when the paperwork comes in from the state, there's a large,
There's
there's a
booklet.
list
There's a
of things
book.
that they
yeah,
check
there's a
for.
large amount of
Huh.
different tests. It's a
We
lot of
have we
phosphorus
have an example
tests,
of it
a
in
lot
the- We
of,
have an example of it in the office?
We-
Because
yes.
it's
I think
easier to
there's a
have him look
VLAP
at the book
folder.
than it is to try to
Yes,
guess.
yeah, no,
Right.
I'm just saying for the public at large, if they wanna know what tests, what's the answer? Go to the office, or we don't put it up on the website or anything like that, right?
we had at one point. I don't know if they're still there, but there were.
Okay, I'm just, people are asking about tests, but
They're asking about beach testing.
Beach
Right.
testing.
Right,
The
and
pond.
Yes,
Testing.
this is now stretching into pond quality, which is the rest of the testing
right,
okay. So E. coli is really the big one for
for the
beach.
beaches.
Yeah,
right.
And there's
Yeah.
even disputes of whether it's even worthwhile at all. And I don't know if you wanna get into a discussion now, but in the past, people have tried to post the beaches after the test results have said there's E. coli detected, and people have wanted to fight with them. The actual volunteers that are posting on the beaches. I pay for 2 weeks of vacation.
Oh, boy.
You can't tell me that this beach is closed. Paul Matitall used to write
Yes.
this. And people would take the signs out of the sand, and I've seen other cases where they just walk right by them and go into the water. So
Anyway,
it's like,
yeah.
Yeah.
now, the people who want to be warned deserve to see the warning, but all that other stuff happens, so.
Well, I think there's a bigger concern this year because of what's going on over at Lake Winnipesaukee. There's a lot of areas that were affected on the beaches over there.
And the state is also asking for people to look for cyanobacteria blooms.
Blooms, right? Yeah.
And I put that on Facebook, we could put that on the village's website too. It shows you pictures of what the different blooms can look like so you can identify them. The state seems to be taking that much more seriously than E. coli. So does that cover water testing
Yeah.
now?
Mhm.
Beach testing?
Yeah.
And
Okay, so we're moving on to 11 Blinden, okay, which was constantly getting confused with 9 Blinden. Okay,
Uh-huh.
so we finally squared it away. And we'll talk about 9 Blinden in a little bit. But 11 Blinden is the one that the guy wanted to try to fast track his application to pave his driveway. I received his check today and everything else, so. The confusion was 9 and 11. Was 11 really paving without us approving anything? No.
Correct.
9.
So,
But 9 did.
but 9 has, so.
I
Yeah.
watched him do
So
some of
I
it.
brought the application, everything is here, so I didn't know if you guys had a chance to kind of, while you guys were trying to figure out which one 9 and 11 was.
Okay.
If-
For my clarification, I
Yeah.
walked up Linden yesterday,
Yeah,
and 9 is all paved now.
yeah,
But it's a horseshoe driveway, so there are 2 entranceways from Linden Drive. So from a driveway permit standpoint, is that considered 2 driveways? 1? How do we?
they had applied for 2 driveways.
Yes.
2
They were
driveways.
permitted to have 2 driveways,
yeah.
and then they had a permit to pave. That's the issue, was their permit to pave,
Right,
and it's now paved.
yeah.
And that's the application for it?
But does
No.
one driveway,
No.
does one driveway
No.
permit cover both of those, or?
Yes,
Yes.
Okay.
yes. When they put in the second driveway, they paid a second.
That was my next question. Do you
Yes,
double-
that
do you
was-
do you double the fee because it's 2 driveways now?
It's one inspection.
One inspection for paving, for initial on a new
Construction.
house, if they're gonna do 2, we get 2 payments.
Separate payments.
So it's 1 permit, 2 separate payments.
Mhm.
Okay.
So I think the confusion with at 9 was we recently sent him an operations permit. Because
Yes,
he never got one from the construction permit. And I don't know if that had anything to do with his decision to go ahead and just get a paving company in there to pave. I'm kind of thinking that maybe that was it, but we never got an application for him to pave.
Mhm.
We didn't get a fee of the $75, which we'll address apparently in a letter later on.
yes, I have a letter for that.
But I do have the application from the owner at 11.
At 11, yes. So the real question is, when does the board want to take a look at 11?
Okay.
This is the guy I told you was trying to fast track this. This is now, what, a week now or more. So we have everything. He's got,
Okay.
yeah, so,
Can't Jeff do that?
what?
Doesn't
He hasn't been doing that.
Oh.
The board's been doing it.
And you went with us one day.
Yes?
So have you guys identified where 11 is?
Yeah, 11
Yes.
is right up the road from 9. It's
Okay.
the next house up.
Yeah?
Yep.
11 is it's a fairly new structure. It looks like a log cabin style house. Very nice looking. The dirt driveway's in, I'm assuming that was all permitted and
Yeah.
taken care of last
Yeah,
time?
it sure was,
Okay.
yeah.
So the issue with 9 was they never submitted a permit for paving?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, which Nancy's gonna address
Great.
in her report.
Okay, so part of that may be education to the public, you know, getting an initial driveway permit and having a driveway put in, getting it approved is totally separate from paving down the road from an initial driveway.
Correct.
Yeah, which requires a whole new separate application.
Yep.
Okay, so do you guys still need to go out to visit Linden?
We need
We
to,
should, because
we need to fill
inspect
out,
both
we need to
areas.
fill out a, inspection report.
For both houses.
We don't have an
No.
application from 9
All
yet.
right.
But it's already done, so we
But
need to
we'll
take a look
address
at
9 when we get to Nancy's
it. All
report.
right.
Yeah. All right, so I'll give this to you, Nancy, so you can get that scheduled with you guys.
So when do you? Tomorrow's a nice rainy day. It's a beautiful day to look at driveways. No, I'm serious.
Take a look at water flow.
You see all the water flow, you see
That's
where
amazing.
everything's going, you see how the drainage up and down the streets are working. It's not the best time for humans to be in the outside world.
We all have
but it
raincoats.
does give us really good data, you know, so if we wanted to do it tomorrow,
And if the dog inspectors need to go out, they don't mind getting wet. They never mind getting wet. It's only their owners saying, "Oh, wet dog smell again."
As long as they get towel treatment when they get home.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, I can do tomorrow. Now it's a question of matter of time. Can you do tomorrow?
Okay. And I know I can do tomorrow anytime.
Pick the time.
Are you a morning person or an afternoon person?
She's not early morning.
Yeah, I'm not interested at like 7 o'clock in the morning.
No.
But if we met at, 9:30 or 10, that would be fine.
9:30. How's that work?
Yeah, okay.
Where do we
9:30?
start? Where we were convening at 9:30?
Just at 11 Blinden.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
So, that was ending old business, 11 Blinden driveway issues. We were done with that. We'll go
Yep.
to, we have no signature items today.
No, we took care of it, the disposal agreement.
We could give the treasurer some checks to start to sign.
Okay.
She can move over to her new post. So no signature items, commissioners' reports.
Who wants to start, Nancy or Mark?
Or me.
And we got what time?
I'm first. So I have 10:37, we're starting commissioners' reports.
Okay.
And the first thing I should probably talk about is FEMA. And I'll bring up an email that you may or may not have had a chance to see because I have my notes in it that I sent to FEMA yesterday with questions. So I am now into the FEMA portal, which is a website that FEMA has municipalities track where they are with all things FEMA disasters. And it's a massive, looks like SQL-based database where they put in photos and documents and they track costs and hours and equipment used and all kinds of things. And they have their own terminology and they use three-letter abbreviations or acronyms for everything. And I found a 465-page document online of just
Telling
FEMA
you what it is.
acronyms.
You
The
can't-
acronyms and just the definitions, 400. And
Oh,
each
my.
page has probably 15 acronyms and definitions on it.
Oh.
So it's a world of abbreviations. And the bottom line for us is, from what I could get out of the portal, FEMA says that we have 6 projects. And the projects total have total costs associated with them right now of $329,600, of which the FEMA promises that they may pay us 75% reimbursement for it, which means that we could be saying if everything goes like a fairy tale here, it could be $247,200 that FEMA could send us someday.
Well, we could use that money.
That would be nice.
Someday.
Now, the task that we have at hand, it seems that the only project of the 6 that's been completed is the total information needed to justify the cost of fixing the water main on Grissom that blew out during the storm, when Grissom Road blew out and took the water main with it. That's $9,600. I don't know why, I don't know when they would pay that, but the website says that's the only project that's completed. They have 2 gravel road projects. They wanted
Because we're
me
not doing the
to
Dawson.
identify the length, width, and depth of the gravel that we'll be putting on roads to fix roads from the storm. I started into that project. They seem to have 2 projects called gravel roads. One of them has 7 roads, the other one has 8 roads. I don't see where they've named the roads, I don't know how they got the numbers 7s and 8s, so I'll just leave that aside. So, there's a lot more work to be done, but I thought I would tell you where I'm at with them, that I see several more weeks of work by me and the highway guys, just reporting stuff to them. I'm starting to get a handle by knowing what their database looks like, why they're asking questions the way they are, and that might make me more useful to them. But the bottom line is that I now have a dollar amount that we're hoping to get from them that may make all this time worthwhile.
Worth it.
So that's the short version of that. There's obviously a lot to that.
Now, in the road standards, which is an ordinance, I thought we identified that the number of inches of gravel that should be placed. 3? Okay, so 3 inches.
That's what we'll be using.
So we'll be
Yeah.
using that standard across? Okay.
I'll be communicating with Nick Skagel about our vote today and saying that we're gonna get a wish list from Simply Water as the features of this. And I now know that I need to ask him about the Dawson project, the questions that we have.
Yes, whether or not they're included in the sketch that he had.
I had to write a report to FEMA asking for extensions on the projects. They had a ending date of,
Can I interrupt you guys? Do you have an extra pen? My pens keep running out of ink. I use them so much. Thank you.
What?
buy
Sorry
more
about
pens.
that.
Put on first note, buy more pens.
Bring the pens to the meeting.
Okay, so I had to write a request for extension on the projects, and I requested that the projects go out to June of 2026. Because even though they give us years of time, we have limited windows. And I explained to them that our delays were caused by cash flow this year. And without getting into the details of bank robberies and all that. And cash flow problems last year. And the grader not being available. And we hope to have it back by the end of the month, which gives us basically August and maybe a good part of September, but basically it all has to be wrapped up by then, so
Right.
we don't have much time even. I contacted the vice president at the Northway Bank, who was on vacation, about questions I had, including getting a credit card from municipality.
Yes.
I copied through the office, you guys, you saw the application, it looks like
Yep.
a municipality can apply directly without using anybody's personal credit ratings to do it. I didn't study the application, but I said we'd work on it and hopefully get that in next week.
Yeah.
State and local cyber grant, did you see my email on that?
Yeah.
I was in the office this week working on various things, including getting the boat rack, canoe rack application that people sign up for rack spaces, to have an automatic email reply sent by the software, and using an application called SendGrid that Andrew wanted me to make work, and I went into GoDaddy and changed the domain records to make this work, and I sent him screenshots to show them that I got it all in there, and I haven't heard back from him as to whether my weekend was worthwhile being in the office. But while I was in there, I went through old emails to find about this cyber grant that was done to protect the SCADA system.
Yeah, because that was, what, a year and a half ago?
And we met with the SCADA company a few months ago, and
Yeah.
we've been waiting for a quote. And you saw the email where he responded at the end of June saying that he needed a key off the old system.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which I didn't understand what that had to do with a quote for buying a new PC, but that's where that ended up. But the bottom line is, it looked to me like the grant had expired
Yeah.
June 1st. And in my communication asking the lady if it was possible for us to get an extension, because we need to replace the most critical point, that PC. I think what she was saying is the village never
We didn't do
submitted
anything.
any expenditures on this at all, even though we did expenditures. Did you read it that way?
I did.
And I seem to recall a prior administrator said she would take care of all this.
Yep.
There was an administrator who said that she had started this and wanted to be personally in charge of it. And that was the last that I had heard of this entire project as a commissioner. It was never mentioned in public and non-public session at all. And now I can see why.
Because it wasn't,
So,
Never acted on.
well, things were purchased. And we have to find out what was purchased, because I believe the lady that's running the state program said that they could do a review. I don't know, in an email, did she kind of leave the door open that they may extend it depending upon what we've already done? And I have no idea what we've already done dollar-wise. A firewall was purchased, cabinetry was purchased, rack-mounted stuff. And we
Yeah.
need to,
They want to see that, yeah, after we receive this information, we will review it, and then we'll be able to give you a better answer. So there is a bit
That's
of an
the
open
door
door.
open.
Yeah.
right, it's still open, yep.
so task one is, where's the information about what was purchased and how much it was that we could submit to them to say, we didn't get reimbursed for that. So we need to find that for two reasons. One, to get reimbursed for it, which she says she'll do, because we'll have dates on it showing that we did it prior to the end of the. And the second is it tells us and them how much money wasn't used, and maybe they'll make a determination letting us buy a PC with what wasn't used. I hope. Any idea of where we would look for this stuff, Nancy?
I have no.
You haven't seen it in your
I
travels?
know nothing about this cyber grant whatsoever.
I got a couple of ideas.
So the hunt is on in the
There's-
office for what
there's
we
one
can
of
find out.
There's one of the file cabinets that has some miscellaneous stuff, and I found some other information
That smells like it?
that was in there. So
So let's
we'll do another hunt.
stop at that point where
Yeah.
everybody's clear where we are.
Yeah, because we got to find the info.
How did you come upon finding this site? Was it your intention to find
Yes.
documentation, like
Yes.
something on this?
Yes.
Okay, wow,
I did a search through the inbox.
you did. Was there a folder set up for it, or?
I just found the one email that gave me this lady's he gave me the document that I sent to you
Yeah.
guys, which
Right.
was, here's your application forms, and that's where I started with her. I sent an email to her saying, I see the application says it ends June 1st. If it ended, can we get an extension? She responded, and there we go. We're off and running.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Merry-go-round we covered, credit card we covered, gravel road estimate. Eidelweiss beach problem. Okay, under correspondence, we got an email about a month ago that came through the EPOA. Doug had gotten it from a resident, full-time resident that lives close to Eidelweiss Beach on Eidelweiss Drive. And it was a lengthy, I don't know if you remember, it was a lengthy
Yeah,
where she had been reporting things and so forth. I replied to her and copied the office, so you should have seen
yeah, I remember
my
your
answer.
reply, yep.
I think we need every email that comes in like that, every correspondence, whether it's written or telephone call, should end up being in here. And I think now that we think we are getting near seeing the light at the end of the tunnel of every possible thing being broken, although new things keep popping up, we need to formally acknowledge every correspondence, and we need to address it here if it can be done in public session. So this will be a category that grows on us as correspondence. In other words, I felt bad that I was getting back to her after a month. She should have at least got an acknowledgement. She didn't send it to us, is the
Right.
first thing.
Well, I do acknowledge them,
Okay, so that's good to know.
yes. I acknowledge every single one.
Okay. I haven't heard back from her from the email that you saw that I sent to her saying that we would be discussing this.
Okay. Are we gonna discuss it?
I don't think we're gonna discuss it today. It's an issue of controlling the beaches
Yes.
and access to the beaches, which means controlling the parking lots,
The
which we
parking.
can do.
Yes.
It has come up several times over the last 15 years. It has not gone anywhere. And as I said to her, maybe we're getting closer to it actually going somewhere. I don't know.
Yeah.
So, but we'll discuss that as a agenda item at another time, not today.
Okay,
That's just to discuss correspondence, and you gave me good clues. I didn't know that you acknowledged that.
yeah.
And that's all I have for my commissioner's report today. Until I think of something while you're talking.
Just one item, I did speak with Danny Brown, who's the electrician. He's all set to go to work on the Summit Cabana. I'm gonna touch bases again with him today, and we're gonna lock down a date. So that should be happening in the next 2 weeks. And we'll do the electrical before we do the new door and some of the other security items. That's all I have.
Okay. Do you have anything there to report?
Yeah.
Maybe a couple.
Need another whole new page.
We're still working on driveways.
Whack-a-mole.
So, the first one we're gonna hold. To Chicoro review, I sent around a draft letter. The driveway is too wide, it's too close to the pin on one side. Couple pretty easy fixes, I would believe, because it's just gravelled at this point. But didn't know if if anybody had any changes or anything they want to say, put into that letter, or should we get that put onto letterhead and sent?
Keep in mind, we did send the expiration letter on June 27th, but it was just a standard letter.
Right.
Didn't go into details as to why this letter does.
Correct. And that was one of the things that when I saw the first response to any of the expiration letters, I went, we didn't do a lot of detail in
No.
the expiration letter.
No.
So the follow-ups, I think, are good to include. this type of detail as to what we're looking for.
So, do you have a motion to focus this?
Sure, make a motion that we approve and sign the letter to owners of 2 Chicora View Drive.
Second.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
3-0.
Okay.
And do we have the letter to sign?
It's gotta get put onto
Okay.
letterhead. But if it's approved, then we can do that. And we'll all be around tomorrow, so it'll give us a chance, give Jen a chance to actually create them. 65 Hotwell. Another one that I sent a letter around. This one, I had another look at this one after the last.
It's not a very good picture, but it's, it's very steep.
It is steep.
Before it makes the big turn over to Burn.
Yes, which is where it clearly says there's no negative grade.
I mean, you put all this gravel down but nonetheless, there's no negative grade.
Right.
That's gotta be it. It's very steep.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's no
building in it yet.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's the focus on that one is the is the lack of negative grade where it meets the road. So we can do a motion to
Yep.
sign and,
You making that motion?
yes,
I'll second it. All in favor?
aye,
3-0.
okay, and 9 Blinden. This is the new paving job that did not have a permit. So the letter outlines the need for a permit and gives them a chance to respond and get the permit in prior to any threat of fines. Yeah.
That's 9 Blinden, and then from the other view, the other side, makes a big loop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they actually did a very nice job.
They did do a nice job, but still.
But they still did it without a permit. So, so make a motion that we sign and send the letter to the owners at 9 Blinden for paving without a permit.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
3-0.
Okay, so the letters that we sent out, obviously are having an effect. People are starting to respond,
Oh,
which
yes.
is a good thing, because I would like to be able to discuss some of this with some of these homeowners.
No, that,
5 Grimsell, I would need to get up and would need to take another look at that one. From what I'm remembering from when we looked at that one,
What is gonna say?
they're very close. The 2 driveways
Yes.
are very close, and one of them is clearly too close to the pin. I believe the owner of 5 Grimsell has said it's not, or that it didn't say anything at the original inspection. Well, if it didn't say anything at the original inspection, that doesn't mean it's compliant. So I'd like the board to possibly take a look at that one.
Okay, so this is the gentleman that called. He wants to speak with someone with the specifics on this.
Want to sign this?
So I think we could let him know that we'll be taking a look at it tomorrow, and that we will let him know what we find.
We didn't see a pin there, did we? we were guessing that the property line by the cuts,
Correct, and I don't know if that's where I'm not remembering if there was actually a clear pin or
I
not.
don't think so.
So that'll be something we'll have to look for
So are you doing these after?
after Blendon, if we can tomorrow. Make a nice rainy day of it.
So are you telling me to call him and tell him that you guys are planning to be there tomorrow?
Well, that's kind of what I'm asking, is whether or not, do you guys want to look at more than just the one on Blendon tomorrow? Depends on what your time constraints are.
I think I can handle 3.
Okay,
Otherwise, we have to move it a little earlier to like 9 instead of 9:30.
okay. Gonna work with you?
Sure.
Okay, so yes, you can let him know that, you can let him know that we'll be looking at him
Oh, okay.
tomorrow.
Okay, and if he comes back and says, well, I wanted to talk to someone, or I want to be there when they're doing this, what should my response be?
He's certainly welcome to be there. We're starting at Blendon at 9:30, so
Okay, so are the plans to review this, write notes,
yes,
contacting the gentleman?
yes.
Okay.
And then we have also heard from the owner on Briston Stock, the corner to Edelboden. Was happy to hear that he is willing to start working on Edelboden. What we haven't seen is any type of plan for how he's going to restore Edelboden. And I didn't know if that was something that we wanted to, have set.
Yes.
Before we talk to him?
He demands to be either there
Yes,
or talk in detail as to what you want
Yes.
him to do.
right.
Yeah, he's looking for some guidance.
I mean, I know obviously
This is where
there's,
his driveway plower pushed the 2 rocks in front of the output of the culvert and built up a berm right at where sending the water out to the road.
yes, and they also, above that culvert, they have a trench
Yeah.
across the entire road that needs to get refilled in.
Oh, yeah. And he was away?
Yes,
Yeah, he was
the
on
gentleman's
I
gonna
think
be.
he was on his honeymoon, actually.
Yeah,
In the hurricane.
yeah,
Yeah. I think I said, I think we should give him an extension, because I think he's,
Which we did, I guess,
Right.
by default.
yeah.
because he wants to cooperate. I've met him, I've talked to him before.
So we need a date to be there? Should we pick a date, a week or so out, that we'll meet him there to go over all this?
Does his email say something about the 15th? So I think it's sometime next week that he wanted to, or said he would be working on it or something.
He wants to plan on starting the work by 7/11, he said, but he definitely needs to speak with someone. He's not gonna start work unless he knows
Right,
what it is
right, what he needs to do.
So can we
why don't
tell him a date today?
I would think we could.
So why don't we find out if he's available on 7/11, if that's when he wants to start the work?
When's that?
That's this Thursday.
We have a FEMA meeting that is now, we haven't seen whether it's 1:30 or 11:30. So I'm okay if it's,
I'm not sure if it's, they
before.
changed them all across the
Yeah, I don't
board,
either.
or they
Right.
just did that
So,
one meeting.
so if I cover it, I'd say I might be starting a FEMA meeting and I'd have to be available at 11.
So again, why
And I
don't-
couldn't finish it until, this one would be, this could go, if it starts at 1:30.
Correct.
Then it could be with the FEMA until 3
Yeah,
Right,
this week.
right.
right.
Thursdays,
So that doesn't sound like a good day.
the next day would be better,
So let's see if he,
after, in the afternoon,
Yes,
the 12th.
after 2. Friday afternoon after 2.
Okay, I can do that. Trying to remember. He lives down in the Boston area, so it's not a
Newburyport.
oh, so that's even further, that's closer, much closer. Okay.
If he's gonna be up, it'd be better for him that it's a Friday, that he's coming up for the weekend anyway.
right. So, do we wanna say 2:30?
2:33? 3 o'clock on Friday?
3 o'clock works.
So Thursday's completely out,
Yes.
okay.
Friday, what day of the week is that? What,
12th.
the 12th?
Mm-hmm.
3 p.m. If he can do it, meeting with AJ.
So that's this Friday.
Yep,
So we'll just wait to see if that works for him. Huh?
yes, if that works for him, that would be good, and if it does work for him, this is something that would have to be posted, because all 3 commissioners will be there, and it's not something that we're gonna be extending today's meeting
No
to
problem.
look at driveways tomorrow.
Yep,
Okay? And then 57 Eidelweiss Drive, you know, I went back through my notes and I wasn't finding the exact, I think it had something to do with the header.
There's a crossroad culvert that's in front of the lot where they did the water hookup. And Jeff said there used to be a header on that, and the header is no longer there because their excavators took it out to install their water line connection.
Okay, so they need to replace the
They need
header.
to replace the header.
who's they?
The owners of 57 Eidelweiss Drive.
And without a specification, they have no chance of doing it the way that the highway department would want it done.
Right, so,
Everything needs an engineering specification.
right. So if we're, where we don't have it, is this a situation where there have been times, especially if somebody needed a culvert or something like that, where the district
Would do the
made an
job, John?
agreement with the homeowner that the district will do the work, but the homeowner will be charged.
That would be the easier way on us.
So because I can set the letter up to this
Okay,
person so that,
again, this is a gentleman that sent an email and
Ah.
Diane's a phone call
okay,
to discuss.
What's his name?
Jim Granera. In his correspondence, Simply Water came out doing work very close to the culvert. He's saying that he's wondering if something was damaged then, but I don't know.
Jeff identified it before all that.
Yeah, and I think that needs to be made clear to this
I
gentleman.
think we also need to Jeff's timing to be away is not good for this circumstance. I want to hold off on this until we get a chance, or I get a chance to talk to Jeff about this a little further.
okay,
Because if they put a culvert header on and it protrudes up, then the wing plows hit it. And that's why I say it needs to be specified and turning, the amount of communication, it has to be engineered. To do this right, you'd have to have the engineer do a drawing with measurements. And that goes beyond what's gonna happen to get this back in shape in time for winter.
right.
So it's gonna be us that fixes it. Now it's a matter of whether
Whether or not we do any cost sharing. with the homeowner, or if we,
That's
Fix
the
it.
way I see it. And then now if it's a spitting contest of who damaged it when, now it drags out even further, which is why Jeff has to
Yeah.
have some kind of proof.
It's
of-
also mentioned a negative grade where the driveway meets the road, is that part of the,
Yep,
yeah.
so we wanna meet with him anyway for that, if he's demanding, if he demand,
Yeah,
I don't know if anybody can demand to have us meet with them at their site.
probably
well,
not.
they get upset, they get these letters and they're like,
Yeah,
they get all
but they're only
upset.
upset to you, not to us.
Exactly, that's,
Oh, that's upsetting.
That's
It's
common
upset.
relief for a bad
It's,
situation.
it's upsetting.
okay, so you wanna meet, you're gonna meet with Jeff first. Cause I can certainly get back to this gentleman and let him know that we're in the process of reviewing, you know, what needs to be done. We're gonna have our DPW review it
Yes.
with us.
Yes,
Yes, that's.
Yes, okay,
okay, good.
yeah, that's not a problem.
Yeah, we should try to make it so that you're not exposed to all this stuff all the time, as best we can.
Well,
Demands.
it's, yeah. It's kind of
Next,
hard. All right, so that's that one,
oh, good,
all right?
Oh, no,
Okay.
47, I thought 47 was.
Well,
that's,
yeah.
non-public.
Yeah,
Okay,
So after commissioners' reports is correspondence, 5 Grimsel.
all right, we just went through
We
these.
covered those?
Yep.
Yep,
Okay, then public appearance I'm at 11:10, no public appearance.
no,
So I'll make a motion, we go into non-public session under 91A.
For reputation?
Yes,
Yes.
okay.
and that will be a roll call vote. How do you vote on that, going into non-public session, Nancy?
Aye.
How do you vote with it?
aye.
And I vote aye also.
Okay,
Thank you. And that's at 9:11, we went into non-public session.